Hello, dear students. How are you all? Hope you are doing good, studying hard, and in good health. So, today we are going to solve one more problem from Erodo book, kinematics chapter, and the problem number is 1.12. So, without wasting much time, let's read this question and solve it. So, it is given 3 points are located at the vertices of equilateral triangle whose side is A. So, this triangle is equilateral. They all start moving simultaneously. Okay, with velocity v constant in modulus. That means they all are moving with the constant speed. With first point heading continuously for second, and second for third, and third for first. Means they all are following each other. Every time their velocity is towards other particle. Let me explain. Suppose this is first particle. So according to question, particle velocity of particle 1 is toward particle 2, and particle second particle's velocity is towards 3, and similarly third particle's velocity is pointing toward 1, and this is the case every time at every instant of time. Now after some time, uh, suppose one has moved a step further. Let me write with another pen. Suppose particle 1 has reached here, right? So particle 1 has reached here, then particle 2 will also move some forward distance, and the particle 3 will be here. Now according to the question, they are following each other every instant of time. That means particle 1's velocity is toward to particles 2's second position, and particle 2 having its velocity toward new position of particle 3, and similarly for 3. So you can observe that their velocity has now gone out of this line, white line. So they are not running along this triangular path anymore. They have changed their path actually. Now they are not in this circle. But one thing must be observed, that all three particles are having similar motion, because their conditions are similar, their speeds are similar, their locations are symmetrical. Means if this is centroid, then about this their velocities are symmetrical, their positions were symmetrical initially. So at any instant of time, we will observe that this particle will always be at equal distance from the centroid, and their velocity will always be having similar sense with respect to the centroid. In other word, let me say the final conclusion is that at any point of time, if you join all three particles, then we will see a equilateral triangle. Yeah, this is what I am saying. Means at every instant of time, if we join all these particle, like I am joining here, we will see a equilateral triangle. This is the equilateral triangle. Now again, now after some time they will be here, this particle 2 will be here, this particle 3 will be here, and likewise the motion will be like this. The exact motion may be different, but yes, I am trying to draw that this is how they will be moving and finally meeting each other. This is how, right? So this is really complex path. Like we don't know the equation, and this is going to be a spiral like path. So from the ground frame, solving this question would be difficult because we don't know the equation of path. But if we use relative motion concept, then this problem becomes really easy. And let me tell you how. Let's solve this question in the frame of particle 1. So we must all know that an observer find himself at rest. An observer always find himself at rest. So with respect to particle 1, particle will not move. We must know that velocity of particle A with respect to A I will try to find out, then velocity of A minus velocity of A, we will always get 0. Velocity of particle A with respect to A will be 0. An observer always find himself at rest. So how does the motion happen? According to according to the observer, except him, all other particle would be moving to reach the destination. So that means particle 2 and particle 3 will be moving such that they will finally meet. So as we know that at any instant of time they will be forming a equilateral triangle, and we must also know that if an observer, like if particle 1 has to observe other particles velocity with respect to him, then what he must do, he must take resultant of the other particle's velocity and the negative of its own velocity. Now let me explain this. We know that, let's say particle 1, let's analyze particle second particle velocity with respect to 1. So we will write, but velocity of particle 2 with respect to 1 will be equal to velocity of 2 minus velocity of 1, right? We can write this as velocity of 2 plus minus of v1. So here you can see, in order to observe the velocity of particle 2, what particle 1 is doing, particle 1 is taking resultant of that object's velocity, particle 2's velocity, and negative of its own velocity. Or we can say the observer always reverse its velocity and give to the object and take resultant with the velocity of object. So particle 2 was moving in this direction. This is particle 2 velocity, v2 vector. And in order to find the velocity of object as seen by 1, what 1 will do, 1 will reverse its velocity and add to v2. So if we reverse v1, then we will get this minus v1, right? So let's add this to particle 2's velocity. So we will get this. This is minus v1, and if we take resultant, then obviously we are getting something like this. This is velocity of 2 with respect to 1. I think you understood. So this is how particle. This is what appears to particle 1, right? Now, if if they have to meet, if finally they are destined to meet, then obviously this distance must be covered. This distance must be covered. The initial distance between these two particles is a, and this distance must be covered, and this distance can only be covered by the component of second particle's velocity toward one along the line joining the particle. The covering of this distance, or let's say only the component of velocity of particle 2 along the line joining the particle is responsible for covering this distance, right? So let's find the net velocity of particle along this line. So let's do component of particle 2's velocity. Now v1, this is the magnitude of v1 will be v1 only. We know that v. Let me write it again. V. So magnitude of v1 or minus v1 is v only, and component of v2. So this is 90. You know, this is 90. This is 60. So this is going to be 30. The component of this particle's velocity will be v2 cos 30, and along this direction we will get, this is v1 sin 30, right? So along this direction towards point 1, we are getting net velocity of 2 with respect to 1 along the line joining 1 and 2. Let me write it. 1 and 2 is actually 3v by 2, right? This v plus v by 2, v1 and v2. This is v2. Okay, this is v2. This is v2. I have now. Okay, this is v2. So v2 by v2 and v1 is having same magnitude, that is equal to v, and v plus v by 2 is 3v by 2. So the velocity or the speed that is responsible for covering the distance is 3v by 2, then the answer will be distance upon speed. Let me write with another pen. Distance upon speed. So relative distance was a and speed is 3v by 2. So we are getting answer 2a by 3v. So I hope students you understood this question and how easy this question becomes if we solve it using concept of relative motion. We could have solved this problem using by analyzing the motion of particle 3 as in by the particle 1 also, and we would have got the same result also. Okay students, I hope you understood, and please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. We'll meet in next video with another problem. Okay.